Welcome to You Could Talk Chalk, a space where we chat with odd-defying, way-making, change-agent entrepreneurs. We hope you enjoy their stories, insights and experiences, and it inspires or encourages you to continue on your entrepreneurial journey. Because you could talk chalk, we're gonna get it done. What's up, YCTC fam, and welcome back to another episode. This one I'm especially excited about. We're talking about surviving the first year, and to guide us through how they survived their first year is Tamara Gibson of Native Caribbean, Native Candles. I call it Native Candles, but Native Caribbean.
Everybody calls it Native Candles, but it is officially Native Caribbean Ltd.
Hi, Tamara.
Hello, Rashida.
I've been wanting to have this conversation with you forever and ever and ever. Amen. But everything happens when it's supposed to. Tamara, you went from the corporate body.
Something like that.
I'll call it the corporate body to now a chandler. That's the correct term. Chandler.
Yeah.
Walk us through that. 2 degrees, corporate world. Now you're pouring candles. Walk me through this whole thing.
I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I always tell people that, as I thought it's not for me. Mm-hmm. I like group pension and medical
structure.
Yes,
please. I love it. Very
dependable.
A paycheck.
Hustling is not for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So coming into entrepreneurship, saying that to say coming into entrepreneurship was very hard for me.
Okay.
Especially since I had tried it maybe a good 10 years before, mm-hmm. and it was a flop. Mm. And actually it had put me in debt. Mm. And I had vowed never, ever, ever again to do this thing. Fast forward 10 years, this debt is gone, and I am living my, a really good life. Mm-hmm. I was being paid very well. Mm-hmm. And it came to a crossroads.
Okay. And
I was not sure how to navigate it. I've never been there before. Mm-hmm. But I had serious decisions to make.
Right.
I didn't like the options that were before me, because one would mean I would have to become an entrepreneur. And I fought tooth and nail not to do that.
Really?
What changed that was a visit to my grandmother. Mm. She raised me. She lived in the house with my sister, my parents, and myself.
Okay.
And so I spent quite a bit of time with her for a long time. She died at 93.
Wow.
So to show you how much, how I had her for 37 years of my life, right? I could always talk to her, and she was the type of person, we call her Ma would support you. She was not very much in the way of hugs and kisses. Yes. But if you got something going on, she's there. Yeah. She is fully involved. She wants to know what she can do to help. She's coming on the ride with you. You're not going alone. Yes. She's that kind of person. And so I got a lot of encouragement from her to keep going. Okay. So naturally I went to her to have the conversation about, I'm not so sure if I can keep going. Right. And I'm not even sure where to go. When I spoke to her about it, I didn't intend to cry, but I ended up crying and spilling out my heart, this snot, this story, I am not feeling, like I can make it. And she shoots. It wasn't, like I said, she was not hugs and kisses. So she was like, girl,
what are you crying for?
Sometimes you just gotta bend your knees to jump. I was like, and she always used to speak in these parables, right? But what that really means is that life is going to take you low sometimes, and you're going to have to crouch down. But it doesn't mean that you're down and out. It just means that you're getting ready to propel yourself to a higher level than you've ever been, right? She said, I ain't teach you nothing. I was like, what do you mean? Because I was telling her that I wanted to go back to school to do yet another degree. I was going to do another master's.
Right.
She's like, you went to school longer than anybody I know. It's time to use your hands to make a dollar bill. I don't know if you remember when Barbados had dollar bills. They were red.
They were red. I have one. Still have it.
And so she's like, it's time to use your hands to make your own dollar bill. Get up and go and find something to do with your hands. You got more opportunities in front. You make your own opportunity. And I did not want to hear that. So I left there crying still. But I could not forget what she said that night. And I tried a few things, but candle making stuck because the process of it actually calmed me down.
Right.
It was very healing for me. That and the cleanup process was incredibly easy. Those were the two things that.
What were the other options?
Cooking. So and it's amazing. The same way I make candles is the same way I cook through the sense of smell. So I can literally smell something and know it's going to go good with this. Like I can smell this herb and I'm like, I know what to do with this.
Yeah.
Like that. So one was cooking. The other one was to open a consultancy, more based on what my degrees would have equipped me to do. And I tried both of them. Turns out I didn't really like consultancies, and I really didn't want to cook, the clean up, the prep, and the clean up. It was just too many
much.
hours. Yeah, it's not for me. I actually lost the joy of cooking, trying it. But the candles, they opened up something in me that I never felt, and that was creativity. I had the opportunity to make something that was completely my own.
Right.
When I took them to my grandmother the first time, I remember I took something like cherry blossom. Everybody anybody that know cherry blossom likes cherry blossom. And she was like, what's this? I don't know, what's this? I said, well, I told cherry, but I never hear about that. And she's like, you can't make something else that you know about. So I went back to the drawing board.
That generation will cut your vein, boy. Listen.
She was good though.
Ooh, we cut your vein, but with love. But ooh, tough.
So that was where then when I went back to think about it again, I said, okay, I'm going to make things that I really know about and experiences that I really had. That's where the signature collection came from. And coincidentally, there are memories of stuff that I did with her. So East Coast Road is actually an ode to all of the bus excursions.
Yep.
That I went on with her. We didn't go to camp during the summer because she was in the house. So during the summer we would do lots of activities. You go picnicking at Bath. You go down East Coast Road with the excursions. All the buses line up coming down the hill, and
this is old transport board buses.
Yes, please. With the gears.
Forest Hill was an interesting feat in them old buses.
I could tell you. Then Cheapside Market. So she used to make sauce very regularly. And so to make the sauce, you would have to go to Cheapside Market to get all your fresh herbs and stuff like that. I remember watching her clean the belly with, to put the pudding in and everything, turning it on the stick and a pig head. Sauce, and people don't make sauce nowadays. Sauce is not sauce unless you got a pig head, right? True. I watch her do that too. And so going to Cheapside Market was a thing. And I used to go out like 5 in the morning with her. I was just about
to say that's an early morning movement.
Yes, please. So Cheapside Market had to be one of them, and it has a smell. You could smell it before you get to it. Yes. So things like that then started to inspire the scents, and I just created them then from memories. And yeah, she died. Unfortunately, my gran died 3 months before I opened the first where we were at the first location. She didn't get a chance to see it. And she was actually buried 2 days before my 39th birthday. So, no, was I 39? No, my 38th birthday. Yeah, she was buried 2 days before my 38th birthday. And I could say the best advice I've had in my life was from her. People might say it was, rough, but it was what I needed. I don't always need a hug.
A hug.
Yeah.
Say that you do not always need a hug. Sometimes tough love is what you need to navigate, especially in business. Especially in business ownership. We always want to cuddle each other, but sometimes you need like a get it done.
Yeah, get yourself together.
Get it
up
together.
And move.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. And I find that I'm the same way too. Sometimes I guess people want a hug from me, but I'm like, cut it out.
Get it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I've watched the journey of native candles. I'm yet to get my native candle. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And saw you paid a lot of homage, and you talked about your grandmother a lot. Like I feel like she is a part genuinely, and especially hearing this story, she is a part of this process. But before we get into the questions I have for you, and I ask everybody on the pod, what is your definition of an entrepreneur?
Oh, that has changed drastically.
Really?
Yeah. Before, entrepreneurship was, entrepreneurs were the people they don't want to be. No, I can't think of it being anything else. But to me, there are different levels of business, and I believe that entrepreneurship gets like slugged in with a lot of other things that it shouldn't. Like, for example, I think an entrepreneur is the person who is really building something that wants to grow. The person who is not just working for themselves, but the person who has created opportunities for other persons to have, an income. They're giving something to the world, basically. I say that because I think there's a real marked distinction between entrepreneurship and hustlers.
Yes.
The hustling has actually had some negative connotations that will come to mind, but it is a true form of business. There's some people out there who work for themselves who don't want to grow anything.
Yeah.
They're just looking to make $1 to support themselves, and that is fine.
Absolutely.
The world needs that too. Those people sell seasonally, and had not for them, we would not get a lot of the things that we do get in the seasons that we want them in, right? But they're not looking to grow. They're not looking to ever hire anybody or scale anything. They're not necessarily looking to offer anything to the world either. They're there to perform a very important function. And so I kind of make the distinction of an entrepreneur that way, so that it is clear what I mean when I say it.
So the difference between, because you're right, you get roped into, it's a hustler.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that title, but there is a distinct difference between
the way
a hustler and someone who's trying to build a legacy and build a business, right? And I would really like, as you mentioned, for us to remove that negative connotation from a hustler.
Yes.
Or looping an entrepreneur into the same space as a hustler. It's two different spaces. But at some point, all of us had to hustle.
True.
Up the scale,
very
up the ladder, get to structure and strategy and organization. We started at ground zero, and I believe ground zero is where you hustle the most.
Yes.
And then you come up, right? But some people, as you say,
want to stay there.
They just want to stay there, and there are others that just want to
they like that flexibility.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So the first year of business, what year did you start Native Caribbean?
Towards the end of 2019. I'm going to say that because a lot of thought went into actually before I launched. I launched at Girlfriends Expo in February 2020. So February 4th is our business anniversary. Okay. But 6 months prior to that, I was planning and working out processes, and that is just the other side of my brain that is really competent with admin and planning and forecasting and budgeting and logistics and all of that. Right. And so I would not have been comfortable launching it without some semblance of structure. Yeah. I still had no idea. To be an entrepreneur, you have to have a huge level of faith, because everything you're doing, you're doing it and hoping that it works in the future. Correct. You don't have any evidence that it will. And so I wanted, at that stage, when I first started, I still felt as if I could have controlled it. So a lot of planning and thinking and laying out and stuff went into it for about the last 6 months of 2019. And then I got started in February 2020. Yeah, because Girlfriends Expo was the last real major thing we had before we had a lockdown. Yeah. And the launch was at Girlfriends Expo, but the business was going to be at a kiosk in the departure lounge of the airport.
Okay.
And we were in the airport maybe about 2 weeks before COVID hit. And the first place that shut down
was the airport. Quick, fast.
Yes.
Quick, fast. And it's so, well, no, it's not ironic. I kind of put this in place because a lot of the businesses that I saw really made the correct movements came out of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was watching in the wings. I started my podcast in COVID.
Oh, because wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. So like our first season we did right after the first ease up. I can't even say like it was just we just get and we was like, okay, we going and we running with this.
Yeah.
I remember the trepidation a lot of people felt in COVID.
Right.
And I also saw people decided to get innovative and create businesses out of the adversity of COVID. So your business came out of taking a chance, I want to say. Like you decided to pivot and take a chance and you are the blend of two perfect worlds, because structure is not something that a lot of small business owners have. They are the risk takers. They're the ones that jump and build the plane on the way down.
Yeah.
I'm like that somehow, but that fear of, suppose I put on that screw for that wing in the wrong spot and I go to move the wing, it don't move. Like I want to know that the plane fixed before I go down the runway.
Yeah.
There's a space for all of us.
Yeah.
So in your first year being so balanced, you in a prime spot, because local candles in the airport, you can't want anything better than that. Correct. That's a perfect space. Then boom, we're in a worldwide pandemic, everything shut down, nobody ain't coming in. What does Tamara do?
Yeah.
In that situation?
No lie, she panicked. She panicked. And it was a quiet panic because I was thinking every single cent that I have is wrapped up in this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, every single cent is wrapped up in this thing. And here comes this pandemic that nobody knows what to do with. We've never heard it. I've not seen it in over 100 years. Yeah. Which means that the people that saw it before dead.
Can't give me no kind of blueprint, little advice.
Nothing like that.
No.
And I thought, okay, my life is over. And
I
don't know how I can come back from this. But it turned out that the people that bought the candles at Girlfriends Expo now had a reason to really use them. Everybody was talking about calming anxiety, aromatherapy. Everybody was talking about mindfulness. Everybody was, focusing more on self-care, mental health. And all this chatter started on Instagram about these candles. I did not know how to use Instagram. I had an Instagram account, but I'm not really a social media person. I go on Instagram to post for my business.
Yep.
I don't use Facebook. I don't use TikTok.
Wow.
Okay. Any posting that I do is for my business. And so I found myself then trying to learn every possible thing about this Instagram, because I recognize this is the way that I'm going to reach people.
That's right.
I Googled it. I saw online videos on YouTube about it. I saw webinars,
this
all
is so
kinds of things.
interesting.
And my mind goes deep, right? I will do a deep dive on. I have to crunch it. I have to understand it from all angles.
Okay.
So I will do like a real big deep dive into things and swallow all the information.
Okay.
And I was like, it took me about 2 or 3 months. Okay, I think I understand now. Let's
go.
Let me go. We got right this way. We got nothing to lose.
You had nothing but time. Huh?
Yeah, and I had nothing to lose. Literally, nothing else to lose. Right, and it started to take off. And then people wanted to know, how are we going to get this thing?
Yep.
And thankfully, some delivery services got the okay to do stuff during COVID. And that's how I did it. But then the candles started to take over the house. And my father was like, oh, that's another thing that happened. I had to move back home after being on my own for 13 years. That was the most humbling thing.
Isn't it though? As a grown woman, huh?
And it wasn't from my dad. It wasn't coming from him. He was very happy to have me, you know, back home. You're always going to be daddy's little girl.
That's right.
But I didn't want to go because I felt like, I wish I had gone though, because I would still have had my savings. I would have just swallowed that pride and gone home and still got the money.
You know? Or at least be able to put it into something else.
Or, girl, go home. If you're listening and you're thinking about going home,
move back.
Go back.
6 months ain't gonna kill you.
It will change your life. Right. And when I moved back in with him, he was like, you know, I don't want anything from you, but I want you to turn this into something that you are proud of. Yeah. I want you to get on your feet again. And that's all I need from you. Obviously, I ain't going to listen to that because I live on my own. I know what it costs to run a house. Hello. So I'm going to think, the man was very serious. And I don't want, he's like, put your money in your business.
Wow.
That to me has been one of the biggest inputs in my business. My father didn't give me money, but he gave me the opportunity to put all of my money
back into it.
So he took care of the roof over my head and the food that I was eating. Wow. So that gave me the freedom to be able to put everything without worry into building this business. That is a tremendous input and is one that, and I mean, I respect my father, but like really gave stripes after that, you know? And so, yeah, I got too much for the house and the man don't want back in the living room.
Agreed.
Fair. And so I had to find a space for it. And at the point in time, I think somebody, I can't remember who whispered it to me, told me about Pelican. I said, I can rate these people, there's a pandemic and stuff. So they had people moving out.
Yeah.
And I want move in. Right? So they were like a lot of questions and stuff like that. It's like, listen, this gonna work. I
need this space.
And I sent in the application, it was successful. And the first location was at Shop 19 in Pelican. And I divided the shop in half. It was small, but the workshop was in the back. And the store was to the front. Right. Girl, and I decorate the front of that store.
I remember.
Yeah. That was my little space. And ain't nobody gonna tell me I wasn't, doing it.
Doing the thing. I got my space.
This is gonna be someplace nice. People are gonna feel like, when they're walking, like they could take a breath. Like a refresher in some place that I wanted people to feel like open arms when they walked in.
Yeah.
Because
almost like a hug.
Yeah. And people think that, Native is about candles and home fragrance. And it is. That's the product. But what we sell there is a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's love. It is acceptance. It is a free space. If you come in there angry, you're going to be laughing by the time you're gone. And
when you got to deal with Shirley. I love her. I love her. Her voice is like a hug.
Yeah.
Like literally when she says, hi, welcome to, it's like you literally go,
yep.
And you don't want, I walk around in the men's section like 5 times. I was like this corner 5, they're just circling. Because I was like, I don't want to leave. I gotta go back outside to the world, and this voice and this warmth and everything is here.
Yeah.
I was recording a video for my other business in Pelican Village.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me pop in here real quick.
Yeah.
And it is, like you say, it is a refreshing space to just walk into. It's like you separate from the world, 20 minutes in there, and then you can go like, I can tackle the world again, and you're back out again.
Yep.
There is no better gift to give than that of something from Native Caribbean. Gifts for under $50 and gift boxes that anyone in the family or office will love are available at Native Caribbean. This online gift shop saves you time searching for gift ideas and does all the work of wrapping and boxing for you. You will find products handmade by local artisans and unique scented candles that smell like warm sweet bread, the East Coast Road, and all things Barbadiana. The website is super easy to use. Just log into www.nativecaribbean.com, go to the gift shop page, make your selection, check out, and that's it. Follow at Native Candles BB on Instagram for the best gift ideas this Christmas. Okay guys, you can shop, but let's head back to the pod.
Yep. And
so you gave back Daddy his living room.
We gave him back, and we are at Pelican now, and within 9 months, that space was too small. Yeah. I actually had tripped over a box on the back and burned myself. I still got a little bit of the mark here. Right? With a heat gun. Nothing serious, but I was like, okay, we gotta get a little bit more
was God
space.
solo.
Yeah. And I seem to have needed that a lot in my life. Like the little
move, girl. You're gonna keep tripping over this box forever.
So I went back to the folks at Pelican and I was like, listen, I need to separate this out. And they said, okay, fine, we have this space that is available. It's like 2 times where you were, though. I was like, I will take it. And so because it would have been more, how to say, cumbersome to move the workshop, we moved the store. And in moving the store, I was like, well, how else can I make this space like, you know, really, really welcoming and warm and like impactful for people. And that's where I got the idea for the fragrance bar. And that was implemented and we moved over. That's how we used up some of the space as well. And that was implemented. And so we've been at that space now since this would be October. Next month will be 2 years that we've been in that space. And then the workshop needed more space. So within 9 months of that,
you had to finally move again.
You see the pregnancies, right?
But that's so interesting because like 9 is like a rebirth number. So like for you to go through that in 9 month phases is so interesting. Every 9 months it was you birthed or had to like give something, grow again. So here's the workshop now, still in Pelican as well?
Everything is still at Pelican. It's just in bigger spaces. I know folks have been hearing a lot of like murmurings about what's happening down there, but I want to say the plans that they have for there have so much opportunity inherent in them.
I got my take on Pelican.
Trust me.
You can talk about that in my personal interview. It's a beautiful space. I think it's a space that it should be for creatives, especially where it's located. And there are creatives who need the outlet that Pelican can offer.
Listen.
So I hope.
I'm going to encourage you to have just even if it's mustard seed faith.
That's what I'm able to say.
Okay, good.
I can have the faith that whatever plans are going to be implemented, because I get real heated and really bro when it comes to Pelican. I'm like, yo, this place is sitting here. We have places that can be studios, content creation spaces. Like, if there's still vacancy, like we need a home for YCTC. Behind the studios, I'll be having a conversation with y'all. I would not mind because again, the location is beautiful and there can build such a community. Just because of how it's built too, like it can be such a beautiful hub. The lady that does copper, she's still there?
What's her name?
Aziza. She's still there?
Aziza.
She does the
No, I don't think so.
I think she was just a little bit up above
me.
You, I have a good set of her copper
COVID
stuff.
changed a lot of the vendors that were there. I don't recall seeing
her still there.
But I do know. Look, I mean, everybody that's passed Pelican has had an opinion on what it can be, right? There's no doubt that it can be done better. But I do think that the folks who are looking at it now are bringing a deeper level of thought than I've seen before. It is enough for me to want to see where it goes.
Good. Then I will have that mustard seed and I will stay faithful that Pelican makes the pivot and the U-turn that it needs to make. So we are 3 years deep. February 4th would have been 3 years. Official business anniversary. We've outgrown our spaces twice over. But tell me, because we have a lot of people, the YCTC fam, I'm sure there are a lot of people who have all their businesses in a little blue book, a little notebook from Woolworth or something from Barbadian, just all the plans in the world. But fear or trepidation has them crippled into, how do I make this work? Your first year was in a pandemic. A whole Panasonic that we know nothing about. The world is stopped. Literally, we are living behind masks. Who has the mindset to pull through a business through that? Walk us through that share some of your experiences and challenges during your first year. How did you overcome those hurdles, and what lessons did you learn?
Okay. Everything was a challenge in the first year. Literally everything.
That don't mean don't start. Start, but you got challenges. Okay.
Yeah, everything was a challenge. As you can imagine, running a business in a pandemic where there were so many supply issues, so raw materials and so, they became challenging to get at certain periods during the pandemic. Having a store, and how are you going to keep everybody safe? Because I literally have a product that you have to touch and smell. Right? And in a pandemic where touch and smell is an issue.
Yeah.
Right? So that was a challenge, figuring out how to do that as well. It was a challenge to figure out, okay, how do I keep a monthly sales target?
Right.
And something so unpredictable. Let me give you the greatest example. We thought the pandemic was all you had to deal with, and then came the ash fall.
Oh, you see the word ash, and I get that was trauma. That was worse for me than the pandemic.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for the ash. I was not looking for the ash.
I was like, Miss Sir, ma'am, whatever. Like, really? After all these years, you come do this in the middle of. I already can't go, so I know I really can't go. So I like.
Yep. And the ash fall affected so many things that the average person was not like aware of. Just getting things, from different businesses and so on. And, they got clearly ash. They got that too posed its own problems.
Right.
I never ran a business before, and all of a sudden I am somebody else's boss. I here trying to figure this out. Yes, the social media. That too was a challenge. So I was the social media manager, the copywriter, the fill-in accountant, the office manager, the admin person.
Custom mechanic handles.
Yeah.
Still pouring.
Every single one. Right? And keep all of that thing. So I am saying that to say the challenges are going to come no matter what year you're in.
Yeah.
They don't disappear after the first year.
Agreed.
They if anything, they become more complex as you go on. They might lessen in number as you start to figure out things, but they can become more complex.
Yeah.
The thing that helped me the most, I would say, first off, is my personality. I am not a procrastinator.
Okay.
I move to the point, like with this thing, it gonna work.
It got to work.
It has to work. There's no other, it gonna work out.
Yep.
I don't know how it working out, but we can make it up as I go along.
Functional delusion, people. The Lulu is the Salulu. Listen. Functional delusion. It got to work.
Yeah. My team would tell you how many times it said, we're making this up as we go along.
Hey.
And that's just to say, not that we run around like chicken heads, but it's just to say that you're not going to know everything. You're going to make a step. Sometimes the next step does not appear until you take the first one, right? Just automatically appears in front of you. So those two things. The other ones, you got to pray. None of you got a crystal ball. I used to say this one prayer all the time. I said, Lord, I can't see 5 minutes into the future. I don't even know around this corner here. And it is ludicrous for me to think that I am making these decisions and I have complete control and it's going to go this way. I don't know if it's going to work. But you tell me if I commit all my plans to you, though. So don't make me shame.
Don't hear. Sort me out.
Right. And I have to say, things always worked out, not in my time, but on time. Right?
Yep.
The other thing is you have to be willing to keep learning. So I've never done as much reading or researching, analyzing, figuring out
business ownership
that when I started the business. And I mean, not just books. When I'm driving, I'm listening to something
audio, something.
That's right.
The trends you gotta keep up with. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
What I'm watching on TV has changed. What I'm watching on YouTube has changed. Even what I'm scrolling on Instagram has changed as a result of it. Any little webinar, any little seminar, I'm sure that I've turned up at things that people are like, what's she doing here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she own a little micro business. What's she doing here? You can't tell me my company and a company.
I tell when it's a conglomerate.
My girl, that's the word we use.
This micro time we're talking about, no, but when I'm smaller talk.
You can't tell me my company is not a company.
I'm a conglomerate.
We have meetings.
Hello.
We
Targets,
do team building.
We do team building.
We have targets.
Hello, SOPs. We have departments.
Correct.
I have HR, accounting. Mind you, it's just me, but don't remember that. I have, and we cannot wait until it's big to put the things that needs to be in place. You gotta start with the mentality. Again, the functional delusion. You have to start from you operating like it's 200 of you.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I'm a builder. That's what I really do feel like. I don't identify as a creative. I feel like a builder. That's it. And I just instinctively know, okay, I want to build this out. I want to put that in place. I want to put that in place.
Right.
And I'm just running around from project to project to project. And you know, you gotta put in your work. It's not that you post and that I make the products under here, and that's all you have to do. It's way more than that. You literally have to be every day. I mean, take your rest, have balance and stuff like that.
For sure.
Take a vacation, you know, do things for you and do things with your loved ones. But otherwise, you don't turn off. And you have to have that mentality and that drive. You gotta want it. And the other thing is, I like to do things with a certain level of excellence.
Right.
I do not like feeling or receiving things done in a very mediocre way for people. That pisses me off.
And unfortunately, our small business space has a lot of people who do not operate in excellence. They give you very half-assed efforts. And the businesses are sound businesses, but like customer service for me is a pet peeve.
Yeah.
Customer service in Barbados sucks. And I will say that with my chest. Customer service in Barbados sucks. And it comes down to, I don't think people understand the difference between service and subservience.
But it has to be a part of you. I'm glad that you touched on that. When my friends would come to my my apartment to stay just for the weekend, when they get there, towels folded on the bed.
Yeah.
I have figured out what you like to eat or cannot eat or whatever. The fridge is full with it. I have planned and organized
itinerary,
everything to make your stay. That's no joke, you know. The people here in Barbados, you know, but when you come to my house, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
I'm going to cook. I'm going to serve it out for you.
Yes.
You can eat with. You don't have to eat with a knife and fork, but the table can go on a knife and fork.
Correct.
That is me.
Excellence.
That is me. Generally, people will say it is extra, and that is something that I had to really come to grips with. There was a time since I became an entrepreneur, where I had these moments where I went up on the table, literally like got up on the table, and I felt like it was like, oh my gosh, I want to hide. Why is this thing giving me anxiety? I've never been an anxious person. This thing, whatever. It was not until a year after experiencing that I recognized it's not that you want to hide. It is that you are finally coming out from under the table. You don't want, you are afraid of being seen.
Yeah.
Right? It is because I have a big personality. I have a strong aura. And I've been afraid to take up space. Not anymore.
Not in business neither. You got to take it up.
It's been forcing me to do that.
You have to take it up.
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, it is a part of you. You're giving your essence to the world, but it will give you something back.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been giving me the permission to be myself. So all of those things combined are the way that I have navigated the challenges. It's going to look different for everybody, but I would say the things that are similar for across the board, it's not haphazard. You have to be planned and organized, and you have to approach it with some level of excellence.
Take up space, people. Excellently. Can't go wrong there.
If you run a small or medium business, you probably already know. Accounting can be very hard to deal with. Invoicey makes accounting easier, faster, and safer than ever before, allowing you to focus on what truly matters, growing your business. Visit www.invoicey.com and get your free trial now.
All right, so I work a lot with, and I hate this word micro, but we have to use it. Micro business owners.
It's a
thing, and I don't like
it's a wonderful thing too.
I think, unfortunately, though, a lot of our small business owners see the word micro, and it also alters their mindset where they stay micro. But as much as you might be micro now, we're building out a business.
You want to hear something? Most of the businesses in Barbados is small, right? And by virtue of being in the Caribbean, the kind of markets that we have here, business will be small. Micro is just, we have the size businesses here based on the size area that we have, okay? Traditionally, we are small. Barbados is smaller than most cities when you think about it.
Lord.
Most cities, Barbados is smaller than. We don't have the kind of market here to support anything bigger really than micro, right? Which is why anybody who wants to grow and become big business has to get into exports.
Yes.
We don't have it here. So this thing about micro businesses, this and micro business, stop looking on your nose at it, is what we can support.
Yes.
It is a small place, small business.
I can't really have said it any better than that. It's a small place, small business. But in the definition of that, doesn't mean that your mindset has to be small.
The two are very
different. Very
distinct.
different. And your business will operate at its best when your mindset isn't micro, right? Or you don't look at business as linear. It really is not. So based on your experience, what are some pitfalls entrepreneurs should look out for? And give us some advice on how to avoid or navigate them.
Procrastination is one of the biggest ones that comes to mind. Procrastination can really hurt your business. You cannot, let me use this example. Let's say Easter was a really big, we're approaching Christmas, let's use Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
Right. If you wait until Christmas to start doing Christmassy things, you're too late.
My clients will come in if I got horns and tell them marketing for Christmas starts in September. They look at me like I have horns. Like, oh, you mean Rashida is not back to school? No. September, we're going back to school.
Yeah.
Christmassy starts in September, October, because if you wait too long, the period will come and then you can't get anything done.
Right. As a business owner, you have to live 3 to 6 months ahead of time, right? Especially if you are a business owner that is depending on raw materials or any kind of support for your business in another territory.
Right.
You even have to plan for then logistics.
Yes.
Right. To me, I have met a lot of small business owners, micro business owners who are not naturally planners.
Yes.
Right. It just doesn't come natural to them.
Yeah.
And that's fine because their zone of genius is something else.
Right.
But we have, any business has a planning, almost a planning meetings, a planning committee.
Yes.
And it is for a reason, right? Because you have to have a chart about what you're going to do before you're going to do it so that you can do it properly.
Right.
So procrastination to me is the opposite of that type of approach, where you wait until the last minute and you only do things that are needed
or necessary.
You can't see the full size of the opportunity when you work like that, nor can you adequately prepare for it. Right? So anything you do is going to be your first thought, and thoughts are not plans. You literally have to spend time with a thought and it will become better and better, and then mature into a plan when you spend some time with it.
Right.
If you never give yourself that opportunity, then you cannot be your best self. Right? So you have a plan, you know where you're going, you start to work on it, you give yourself adequate time. If there's a problem, at least you can pivot then.
Yes.
But procrastination, it doesn't work. like that. Okay, fine. It's not you. You need the adrenaline and you need the pressure to be able to get it done and stuff. Hire somebody to do it for you.
Yep.
Hire somebody to do it for you. But as a business owner, not being good at something is not an excuse for it not to be done.
Say that again. Say it again.
As a business owner, not being good at something is not an excuse for it not to be done.
Outsource, people. Get help. You can't do everything. Acknowledge your zone of genius, operate there, outsource everything else where you can.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse to not operate at a certain level.
It is definitely not.
So procrastination, which is 95% of small business owners, just, and you hit the nail on the head there, because a lot of them use I don't want to say it's an excuse, but use the comfort of, but I operate better under pressure.
Yeah. It's a fallacy.
That's fine, but a lot of you end up making a lot of mistakes in that pressure too, that you cannot pivot from. You don't have the time to pivot from.
Yeah.
And most of the time end up operating at a loss more so than a profit, because you've had to spend more money than you would have planned for.
Yeah.
You didn't have enough time to execute it as you would like.
Yeah.
And the quality of what you're giving dropped because it was haphazard and not planned properly.
Yeah.
You cannot go wrong with planning. So do not procrastinate, people. Plan.
Right.
And your mindset then, because my next question is about mindset. What mindset did you embody during the early stages of business, especially in a pandemic? What strategies or practices did you adapt to stay resilient when faced with obstacles?
I think everything in my life before Native actually brought me or equipped me to handle that during the time.
Okay.
So the resilience that I have was built long before that, over a long space of time. I've not had the easiest of paths to navigate.
Right.
But all I can see why now, because all along that path, those rocky roads, was being I don't even want to say resiliency, but I can, like a rubber band, you gotta be able to pull and snap back, bounce back. I've had to bounce back so many times in my life, Rashida, you would not. From different things, things that had I not had the right people in my life or a relationship with God, could have crushed me, right? So coming into Native, the pandemic was like, we could do this.
That easy.
Yeah. We could do this. This is a little pandemic.
Right.
A
little pandemic here.
It's a little pandemic, right? So that resilience to me was something that was formed over years to get there. If you haven't been through those things, then how do you build resilience? And being in business, you're so fortunate that they got coaches for that now, right? There's even training for it. There's all kinds of things.
There's no better lesson than life, though.
Yeah.
It's no better.
But resilience is like a last step. That means something wrong happened.
Yeah.
You can literally, you can't avoid everything, but you can avoid the hard things.
Yeah.
By approaching things proactively.
Right.
So if you don't have a lot of resilience, your best plan of action in your business is to act in a way that will prevent you, if you know you can't take pressure,
from getting into them hardships.
Don't do things that can give you pressure.
Correct.
If you know you get overwhelmed and you feel like you can function when everything up in the air, pace yourself.
Yep.
Develop discipline.
That's a big one.
Develop discipline.
That's a big one.
I don't do very well with overwhelm. It means I have to take things in bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing it this week, but if I don't do it this week, next week
it's going to put pressure on next
me.
week. Yeah.
I don't like pressure. I can't handle pressure. So let me drink this Sprite or this mudslide.
Yep. And let me
get myself together.
Yep.
And crack it out here.
Yep.
So if you don't have resilience, it still is not an excuse. Your answer is being proactive.
Okay. All right. So share some practical steps. You know, you've been in this business for 3 years now, and I bought this space to help small business owners who may be in the first stages or going through thought processes of not wanting to do it, to push through. So give some advice and some practical steps you believe can make a significant impact on your first year or on business period.
Okay. The biggest of them would be to hire somebody to look at your books, right? The money. Don't even play with that. Most small business people I know not that I know, I've heard. You don't really separate your money from your business money from your personal money, right?
Yeah.
So they dip in the hand and the bag and stuff. You can never make decisions about business without seeing an accurate picture of the finances.
Right.
It is also important because access to finance, the bank is also going to want to see an accurate picture of your finances, right? And you can't do that if you don't have a record. You don't have to be good at money to be able to put it in a register and count it at the end of the day and say today, 5th of September, $200 was made. Okay?
Right.
You don't have to be an accountant to take that $200 and put it on the bank.
Correct.
In an account that has your business's name on it. I can tell you no, you put that money in your name and you get taxed for it. Open a business account. You're running a business, open a business account. You can get taxed at business too, but it ain't you, right?
It's the business that getting taxed.
Correct.
Okay.
Give the business a life as of its own.
Yeah.
Have somebody look at your books, somebody that you trust, and it doesn't have to be just an accountant. There are people that are an accountant, and then there are people that are gifted with numbers.
Yeah.
Find you somebody that is gifted with numbers that can help you to understand what the numbers are really saying about your business. Use that information to make decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Look at your pricing. Look at your expenditure. You know, it's not just revenue, what's coming in, but what's going out of it. You know, look at the cost of your raw materials and that kind of thing. Figure out those things early on if you want to be successful. I do not hear enough entrepreneurs talking about those things. It's almost like sales.
Promotion. But
if you're selling in the blind,
it's true.
Yeah. So
solid tips. Pay attention to your numbers, folks. Give 18-year-old Tamara a piece of advice.
Sweetheart, you are beautiful. You got what it takes. And stop worrying. You got it. All you need to do is believe in yourself, sweetie. You got it. Trust me. You have it.
Tell the YCTC fam where we can find Native Candles and what's coming up next.
Okay, so you can find Native in a couple of places. First off, if you cannot make it to Shop 12 at Pelican Village, you will find us online at www.nativecaribbean.com. You can also find us on Instagram at nativecandles.bb.
At her social media, she did a post the other day with the with Shirley again, when she was saying
Deborah.
Deborah. Why do I keep calling her Shirley? Deborah screaming. Listen, I watched that episode and I felt that scream every single time because that's how I am every single day. That's what I want to do. And I feel like that was her. I know it wasn't really her screaming, but I know it was her screaming.
It was actually her screaming.
I felt that in the pit of my soul. Deborah, thank you for screaming for all of us. I think she screamed for all of us. Tamara, it was great having this conversation with you.
I had a good time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the pod. You do not have to have a horrible first year. It doesn't always get amazing, but it gets better.
Yeah.
And remember, regardless of what we have to do, you could talk chalk. We're going to get it done. Thanks for watching YCTC fam. Be sure to spread the word and encourage others to take in these gems from our local entrepreneurs. Also, follow us on all social platforms at You Could Talk Chalk. See you next time.